and people will say like, just cut down porn like once a day or like
Yeah,
three
like the
every 3 days. Do you
yeah.
think that is helpful? Like have when
No.
no.
What I'm talking about with dopamine is like the thing is like with a lot of guys they got into it, it was like very innocent, like softcore kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden how the brain works is that it always wants more and more and more. So it starts off with like a little bit of stuff and then you want a little bit more because basically, all right, well, this is getting boring to me now, right? So basically I want to see something a little bit more graphic. So like obviously like and from a Christian perspective, we basically say that you have to flee from all kinds of sexual immorality. So there's no moderation to it because you know that you're either with God it's either you're in or you're out. So that's like the Christianity religious perspective of it all. So when it comes to pornography, I tell people don't moderate it, leave it alone completely because it's like feeding the dragon. The more and more stuff that you keep looking at, the more and more you're gonna just keep on tempting yourself. I tell the guys all the time, like if it triggers you, you don't need to be looking at it. Like you need to be focusing on your purpose. You need to be focusing on staying away from porn altogether. And most importantly, just honestly staying out of the house altogether. Or if you have to go to the library or you have to call somebody on the phone, say, hey, look, I just wanted to talk to you. I felt as if I was going to give into my urge. So
Yeah, that's definitely the truth because I have always trying to moderate it when I was back in the college life. I was always like, oh, I'll just do it like every 3 days and
mhm.
just actually just masturbate and just not watch porn. But like even masturbating is so tightly involved in watching porn. Like you won't even want to masturbate uh, until you watch porn. And so it's
Mhm.
so confounding and it's so complex that you just have to leave it alone. Like you just have to go on like a 30-day detox, whatever, or just
Mhm.
leave it alone. Um, and so it's definitely a very tough concept because you can leave it off. Let's just say you leave it off one day and you think that you have conquered that day, but like your urges will just keep coming. And so how have you helped men in your coaching to like, what if three 3 days go well, like
Right.
that fourth day you will have urges?
Mhm.
So how have you helped them overcome those urges in the initial, let's say you're doing a 30-day no fap.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, how do you help? What's the best thing to do in that time?
So like I said, like the first like 3, 4 days, even like the first like 7 days, like that's what I call in my personal opinion, I call it the struggle week. Because like it's one of those things where it's like the first 2, 3 days you probably won't really feel that much. But then after like the fourth, the fifth, and the sixth one, it's like, dang, I need to look at this stuff, man. Like I'm starting to crave, start itching. It's like because with porn, it's just like any other addiction. And in the world of addiction, it's basically you're gonna go through withdrawal. It happens, whatever it is, whether it's sugar, salt, heroin, whatever your drug of choice is, you gonna go through a withdrawal. So what I tell the guys is you're gonna have to hang in there. And from like a Christian perspective, like the guys I work with who are Christian, the guys I told they're a Christian, I said you're gonna have to pray a little bit more, you have to fast a little bit more, keep social media away, keep yourself in the Bible. I also have guys who aren't Christian as well, which is okay with me. It doesn't matter to me. I have to speak to them for a more practical perspective. So it's like, look, listen, let's just be honest here. I know you don't believe in God. I don't force God upon anyone's throat. That's just not my personality. Let's be real here. You need to start leaving the house. You need to start working out. You need to have some kind of routine. And most importantly, like, look, listen, all the times you be looking at porn, you need to replace it with something else. Because let's be honest, if you don't replace it with something else, you're going to want to keep looking at it over and over and over again. And I'm always telling the guys, it's like, okay, look, listen, what is it that you even like to do? And if they say, well, I don't know, it's like, well, you got something right here. We got to figure out what you like to do. So if you don't have something that you like to do, if you don't have some kind of a purpose, that's what I do with the men that I coach. I try to help them try to find some kind of purpose, try to find something to do. And most importantly, I just try to get them to volunteer. Like there's something about the brain. I don't know the exact science behind it, but it's like people feel better when they're helping out other people, and like from the Christian perspective, we call it serving. We're serving others and things like that. So that makes God happy. Internally, it makes us happy. So I do try to push the guys out to do some volunteer work as well.
Yeah, I don't know what is about serving others free of cost, any
Yeah.
service. Like I used to do things for my friends that was like they needed some help, and it just feels good because I don't know what it is actually. I don't know. I wish I knew this because it's a really great thing to point out, and it definitely drives you to become a better person. And that fact that you are finding purpose and uh, you want to be a better person does not really match up with the idea of being a porn addict. So that could really help men a lot. So I feel like you have a great part to play in today's society because the porn addiction rates are totally high. Like I was look I don't have the statistics right now in front of me, but I feel like when I saw them last time, I think Google said somewhere around like uh I don't know actually, like a million or a few million people visited porn sites every like second or like every minute. And so that's whatever that rate is, it's just too high. And I've also heard that like 70% of the content on online, it's just porn. It's nudity porn, videos. And so like what you are, that basically means that though you have some sort of control on what you can look up online, you are going to come across porn in a general sense. So how how do you really like control the triggers? Like in psychology, it's the habits, right? Habits have like pattern
Yeah.
patterns. You follow a certain patterns, you look at something visually, and then that creates a trigger. So how in your coaching you have seen people, like what are some common triggers that everyone should avoid who are porn addicts, what we shouldn't be doing, and what we should stop doing? Like even like the Instagram search page,
Mm-hmm.
that's a trigger. Everyone probably knows this.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some common triggers here that you have noticed?
Yeah, so like before I get into like the triggers, I gotta talk about like mindset for a little while, because
Yeah.
like the thing about it is like when a porn addict is always talking about porn over and over and over again, he has to get into the mindset, or she has to get into the mindset of like, look, I'm not a porn addict anymore. Like in the addiction community, a lot of people want to like disagree with me, but I don't believe you should call yourself an addict. I 100% don't, because at the end of the day, it's like if I want to be free from something, why would I call myself an addict? Like every time I hear the word addict, it always has, let's be honest, a very negative connotation to it. So it's like every time I hear this word addict, I say, look, listen, you're not an addict anymore. Just there was a time where you were battling with this addiction, but you're not an addict. Most importantly, you're free. So that's what I have to do. And then when it comes to like the triggers, man, it could be a lot of things. It's really just the stress, the boredom. I mean, practically speaking, you should just be spending time off of like Instagram, Facebook. I mean, there's guys out here, they like to dabble. They say, well, I'm not really looking at porn, but I'm looking at women working out in bikinis and stuff like that. And basically what you're doing is you're heightening your senses, whether you realize it or not. But a lot of guys some guys just want to play around with it too. And like me, I don't like to play around with things. I cut straight to the point. It's like, look, listen, stop looking at this stuff, because you're going to want something a little bit more. And if you want something a little bit more, you're going to go turn to the porn site. You're going to uninstall the blocker and all that other stuff. So like with me, I tell guys, you need people who know what you're going through. Because I've known that a lot of guys, they keep this a secret. So it's like, you don't have to tell everybody that you deal with porn, but there's got to be at least, I say about a group of like 5 people, 5 close people, maybe just one accountability partner that's just like, okay, look, listen, this is the person I talk to when I'm dealing with urges. Like this is going to be the person I talk to. But you got to have somebody. Or if you have like your buddy system, as I said about a couple weeks ago, like 1 to 100 people, those are just the people that you just honestly just talk to. You don't even have to tell them about porn addiction. I've been noticing that. I was reading up on this book called Living Sober, and they were talking about tips about how, you know, you can sit down, you can get away from porn addiction. And one of the most powerful tips they talked about is just sitting down and like texting somebody and calling somebody. The brain will focus more on the conversation instead of pornography. And like I tell guys all the time, it really matters to you, because when it comes to pornography, like the more and more you stop looking at it, the more and more the images in the brain will become a lot more blurry, which will actually have you sitting down here looking at women in a better sense, and then actually go into the dating field, not having all these like unrealistic expectations of her.